right, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the morning tea. This is episode number 11. I am super excited today to have Donna Freeman with me. Donna is the owner of Yoga in My School, and she is the woman who took me through the steps of getting my kids yoga teacher certification. Donna is an incredible human, an incredible teacher, and so I'm very grateful to have her here with us. Donna, welcome.
Thank you so much. It's a delight to be here for morning tea.
Yeah, what have you got in your cup today, Donna?
I've got some rooibos. Rooibos tea is my favorite tea. And one of my kids brought it to me and I just said, bring me a mug of tea. And they brought me a hot and bothered tea. I was like, okay.
You know, as much as I love hearing about what's in people's cups, I have also really loved seeing the cups that people have since we started doing this. I'm drinking out of my happy mug.
There you go.
And double fisting my coffee with my herbal infusion that was prescribed to me by my acupuncturist, Heather Bracken. So, yeah. So, Donna, let's just get right into it. I want to hear about what brought you into yoga. When did your journey start and how did you start?
My journey started 23 years ago. So back in the olden days, before there was a yoga studio in every neighborhood. In fact, there weren't very many yoga studios at all. My husband and I had been living overseas for a number of years, and we ended up in Cape Town, South Africa. And yay, we had some great news. We were pregnant. Awesome, which is really fun. But I was very far from home, and I had an old school doctor, and he had a whole list of don'ts. Right. And so everything that I was doing was now a don't. It's like, no, you can't run. No, you can't bike. No, you can't, hike in the mountains. No, like it was this huge list of no's. And so I was like, buddy, me and food, love affair kind of thing, like chocolate. And I didn't want to gain, tons of weight and, stop an active lifestyle. And so I started walking a lot, and we were very fortunate. We lived right in Sea Point, which is like right on the coast in Cape Town. And I'd walk along the seawall and do all of that kind of stuff. And I happened to walk past a place that said something yoga. And I was like, I've never done that. That sounds kind of fun. I bet you I could do that. So I talked to my doctor and he says, yeah, for sure, do yoga. That's great for you. And so I didn't even know how to say the name of the studio because it was Iyengar. And I'm like, those letters don't go together in English. Right? I was like, I don't know what that is. But I started going to the studio. Loved it. Little itty bitty studio, 12 people was max for a class. And because it was Iyengar, I learned a lot of alignment and the rules, and I loved that. I was like, oh, yes, this makes perfect sense. And got my teacher training. Like I loved it so much that I dove in deep and did my teacher training. Then eventually we came home to Canada, and there wasn't much yoga here. Like there was very, very little. I went to a couple of classes at like a YMCA kind of thing. And then I realized just the quality of education I had received. I was like, really? Like that's, I must admit, I was not terribly impressed with the few classes that I took. And so then I started teaching in my house and in my basement. And I'm an educator by trade. I graduated from the Faculty of Saint Jean with education major and all that kind of stuff. And I had kids. I had 4 little kids in a number of years. They're 2 years apart. And I was fortunate. I got to stay home with them. My husband and I made that decision. And so I ran classes out of my basement. I ran kids yoga camps in the summer in my backyard. Had a great time, absolutely great time. And then everyone was like, well, who are you certified with? And I was like, well, I got certified in South Africa. And they're like, no, that doesn't count here. I was like, what do you mean it doesn't count here? So then I had to do all kinds of other certifications. I actually finished my 200 3 times. and my 500 twice.
Oh,
So
wow.
by the time I'm like, yeah.
Yeah. You're certified.
It's like, can we call this certified yet, please? Because people kept coming up and making these organizations,
Mhm.
right? Like somebody asked me, well, where did you do your mindfulness training? Did you do it with Mindful Schools? And I was like, no, I was doing mindful training before Mindful Schools started. Like I know the organizers of Mindful Schools. Like, no, I
Yeah.
didn't get my training with them. Like I know them as colleagues, and so it's a fun thing.
Yeah. So I imagine that, with your education degree and the fact that you had 4 kids as you were sort of walking on this journey is what brought you to focusing in on the kids yoga.
For sure. Like I was teaching kids for for years, and like everybody does mini me yoga now. Like it's a thing. You can watch it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Um, but my first formal in school class, I was volunteering in my son's classroom in kindergarten, just as the mom helper. And
Yeah.
they had a sub that day. And the sub was like, "Yay, we have phys ed. Let's take everybody down to the gym." And she was under the misconception that once we got to the gym, the phys ed teacher would then take over. Okay. So we get down to the gym, and all of a sudden the kids hit the gym and they start running, yelling, because that's what 22 5-year-olds do in a gym,
Yeah.
unless they're instructed otherwise. And she looked at me with terror in her eyes. Like, I'm like, she's like, now what? Like, where's the teacher? I'm like, no, this is kindergarten. You're the teacher. And she was like not prepared at all for this. And so I just said to her, I said, do you want me to do yoga with them? She's like, that would be awesome. So we brought them in a circle and we went to the zoo.
Awesome.
And that was my very first in a classroom. Let's teach formal yoga to kids opportunity.
And then from there, I mean, you've created this entire business that focuses on not only, teaching and hosting classes for kids in schools and daycares and all of these things, but also teaching people to be able to do that so that they can go out and offer those services. So how long has Yoga in My School been in operation?
Kind of as a formal presence with an actual name since 2009 is when I went online.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Over
I'd
a
been
decade.
teaching, I'd been teaching long before then and running even trainings before then. But in 2008, there was an economic downturn. And I ended up with 4 kids and my husband lost his job. And as a teacher, I really considered going back into the classroom full time. But I was like, you know what? Like, I can't make enough money to pay for 4 kids to be in daycare.
Mm-hmm.
So instead, I woke up every morning at 4 a.m. and wrote a book. And just so you know, it's a lot of work to write a book. And if someone had told me how much work it was at the beginning, I would have never written a book. But I knew exactly what I wanted it to look like and the concept. And so it's called Once Upon a Pose. And I wanted it to be a tool for teachers to know, like a one-stop shop for teaching kids yoga.
Yeah.
And at the time, every kids yoga book basically just kind of said, yoga's good for kids, and here are a bunch of random poses. Like they'd say mountain and down dog and tree and this, that, and the other. And I kind of went, so what? Like,
Yeah.
who cares?
Yeah.
And so I knew, because my minor's in psychology, and I knew the educational psychology of how kids learn. And so it was like, it has to be thematic. Like it has to make sense. And I wanted it all to apply to the curriculum. And nobody was doing this back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, nobody. Now it's commonplace to find yoga, but still I'm a little bit different in my approaches. I'm like, yoga can be used in any subject. You want to teach science, do it through yoga. You want to teach math, the geometry in yoga, gotcha. Physics, yeah. Language, arts, we can do that through a yoga. Let me tell you a story and we're going to act it out. And like, so I do this multi-dimensional kind of thing. Homeschooler parents really love it. They're like, cool. And when teachers have me in and they're like, she just covered like aspects of like most of our curriculum in half an hour.
Yeah.
That's amazing. When can we bring her back? And so like that's kind of stuff that I get excited about, is how many elements of the curriculum can I touch on in one class. And one grade 2 student once called me out and they're like, "Hey, we're doing math." I'm like, "We're just doing yoga. We're playing yoga here." They're like, "I have a sneaky suspicion that this is good for me." Maybe.
So for those who might be watching that are envisioning like an adult yoga class with children, this is not what kids yoga looks like. And you know, I could touch on that a bit, but I'm going to let Donna do it because she's going to, yeah. Donna, tell us what a kids yoga class actually looks like, because it's not herding cats into yoga poses for an hour.
No. Most people are rather startled that kids yoga is fairly noisy. Because, well, you have to meet kids where they're at, right? In an adult class, you come in and you know the expectations, you know the social decorum, that type of thing. And you know to stay on your mat.
Yeah.
Like, that's one thing you actually like. And adults get really territorial about their mats, in fact. Whereas with kids, it's like, I'm just going to wander over here for a moment. And you're like, how do I get them back and pay attention to me? And so one of the key things that we teach in kids yoga training is classroom management skills, which is not really covered in adult class. No. Other than like ethics, right? Like, have good ethics and be a good person. But in kids yoga class, it's one of the number one questions is, how do I deal with kids that randomly will run around the space, or that continue to poke their neighbor, or roll up their mats and use it as a sled just out of the blue?
Yeah.
Right. And so you have all these unique things, and kids are going to come in with different levels of energy. Kids with special needs and various diagnoses are they're just part of the group, and you work with it, and you be really, really creative, and lots of games, lots of fun, lots of songs, noises.
Yeah.
We moo, we hiss, we growl.
Yeah. So it's really, I mean, it's a blend of yoga poses, but through storytelling and adding in games and mindfulness activities. And it's not just the practice physically of yoga, it's the whole concept of yoga, and the mindfulness and the awareness that ties into yoga.
Yeah, it really is. Like, a lot of people, even like, I taught a advanced meditation workshop last weekend, and just going through that with the adults in their adult practice kind of blew their minds with some of the ways we can meditate.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And just opening their minds to, moving meditation, like sun salutations, or, I teach kneeling salutations, or a walking meditation with kids. We call it turtle walking.
Yeah.
And doing those kind of things, and giving kids object lessons and that type of thing. It's just, it works. So many people are familiar with, of course, this, right? A Huberman sphere nowadays is a really common sensory tool that people use. Let's just grab this, because right. But bringing in, this is a die from the dollar store. It has all these, animals on it, and voila, there's 12 animals. It's a yoga class.
Yeah.
Right. And then everyone gets a turn, because learning social skills is really important. Learning knowing child development, that when a 3-year-old tries to jump, they don't really clear the ground. Right. Yeah. It's so cute, because they just right. But that by the age of 4, we should be hopping, and by the age of 5, we should be hopping on one foot. And that is regular development, and to work with that in the yoga class, to work with fine motor skills, right? As kids learn how to cut and hold a pen and that type of thing, to learn to incorporate early literacy skills. Is so vital. That's one of the big skills these kids are working on, or the math skills of sorting and categorizing things. I do classes where, we have to sort the poses. Like, does this belong at a pet store? Does this belong in a zoo? What
Yeah.
kind of animal is this? Or does it is on the farm? Well, farms are different in different places of the world,
Yeah.
right? And getting kids into those themes, because if you're going to Egypt in a theme, you already know there's going to be pyramids and crocodiles and a trip down the Nile. Like, you know that. There better be a Sphinx pose. But if I tell you I'm going to the mountains camping, those are totally different. That's a totally different scenario
Yeah.
and environment. And kids get it makes perfect sense to
Yeah.
them to then go to the mountains. And now you're going to see bears and eagles and mountains and there better be a tent
Yeah.
and cooking s'mores over a campfire. Like, if you're not doing that, I don't know where you went camping in the mountains.
And there is a pose for every one of these things. And these are
Yes,
not,
there
of
is.
course, the technical yoga terms, but
Yeah.
these are the terms that the kids get.
Yep.
And they will identify their poses, their body movements with these animals and structures and
Yeah.
mountains and everything else.
Well, and I love the fact that kids yoga is so open and kind of out of the box that way that you
Yeah.
can rename things. Like, there's a T-Rex pose, people.
Yeah.
Like, of course there is, because 4-year-olds love dinosaurs, so there better be a T-Rex pose. And I love the fact that some of the early work that I did, poses are still called the things that I decided to call them, just because they reminded me of something. Like, deer pose, so Marichyasana, which is that, one leg out, one knee bent, and a twist, right? It's called deer pose in the world because I called it that in my book in 2009, because it looked to me like a deer bounding over a log,
Yeah.
right? And then looking back and looking around for danger. It's like, sure, I'm going to call that deer pose.
Yeah.
And you can look that up. You can Google deer pose and there'll be a picture of somebody doing that pose. Marichyasana has nothing to do about deer other than the fact that Donna Freeman decided to call it that. That just blows my mind.
Oh,
Right?
I love it.
I saw somebody did something the other day and yep, their deer was that pose. And I just smiled. I was like, awesome. And ladybug pose. I don't know if it's, as I was teaching ladybug, somebody else in the world may have come up with the exact same version of ladybug pose, but child's pose and drawing dots on a kid's back is ladybug pose. And
Yeah.
of course it is.
Of course
Right?
it is.
Of course it is. But
So when I took my kids yoga teacher training level 1, it was almost exactly 3 years ago. I would like to just note that I had a picture come across my feed because I actually started that class on the day after I left my corporate job at Lafarge.
Yes.
So it's also been my 3-year anniversary this week of being a full-time entrepreneur.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. I had decided, I had recently taken the at that time the kids and teens meditation teacher training through Lifestyles Meditation, and I was really focused on bringing more mindfulness to children. That was, it's something I'm still very passionate about. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to focus much on it.
You're busy making beautiful artwork. Girl.
Right. Yes.
so much time in the day.
But I was really looking to sort of expand on what I had learned there. And I came into your class, not having a huge yoga background, but it didn't matter. And the activities and all of the different ideas and insights that you had to sort of add to this tool belt of working with kids and introducing them to mindfulness concepts was just mind-blowing. Like I have so many notes from those classrooms, and these are things that I did for a time go into daycares and preschools to share yoga with them and mindfulness with them, but these are also things that I've used at home just with my own son. So I'm curious to know, like, when it comes to your teacher trainings for kids, who's coming? Who
I get all kinds of people. I get grandmas who want to share it with their grandkids because they love yoga and they're realizing that their practice is not going to meet their grandkiddos' needs. And so they're like, okay, how do I adapt this? How do I make it work. So I have lots of, interested parents, grandparents, that type of thing. A ton of teachers, probably about 50% of the people who come are teachers or educators, teacher aides, that type of individual. And then I get the professionals who work in pediatrics somehow. So I get everything from pediatric nurses, OTs, PTs, speech therapists. Yeah, which is really cool. People with specialties. And then we all come together, right? And we share, because I'm never the only expert walking into the room. Like, everyone comes with their expertise.
Right.
And when it becomes really synergetic, that's when, like, it becomes so special.
Yeah.
When the speech therapist can add to whatever I'm doing, or she can point out, okay, breathing with pursed lips, like this exhale, with that really close exhale. She goes, okay, and these are the reasons why, as a speech therapist, we want to have that happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or the OTs can talk about, fine motor skills, or some of the techniques that they work on with kids. And then it becomes this really cool sharing opportunity. Or when a parent of a child with special needs shares some of their challenges and how they can see yoga and mindfulness working for them at home and being a service to their family. And it really is magical. I love offering workshops and trainings. And in fact, doing these virtual ones right now has been just an absolute eye-opener of how people can connect from across the globe, literally, and share a love of something.
Yeah.
And to work toward the health, harmony, and happiness of children everywhere.
Yeah. I love that. Okay, so tell us a little bit about, given that you can't have these in class offerings at the moment, what have you got going on?
Well, I've got a couple things going on. One is I moved a lot of classes to Patreon. So if you're not familiar with Patreon, it's a nominal fee that you pay every month, and you become a patron. There's levels, and you can have, like, just a basic level. I want access to your videos and to practice, or you can go all the way up to one-on-ones, and, like, I will teach you in your home, and we'll connect, and you can request things every month. I put out a poll. I'm like, what do you want? What do you guys want?
Yeah.
And so right now, most people are asking for hips and gentle yoga. That tends to be what people are looking for. But then I did have a lady ask for arm balances. So I whipped out a half an hour arm balance class it's called 2 Crows, 3 Ways. So, and it's 30 minutes of kick your butt kind of things. And then I've got some kids on there. And so there's, like, a frozen yoga class. And so it's like the whole family can join in, and you can request stuff.
Yeah.
And so I've had a number of my students, because I teach all ages. And so lots of my students have moved there right now. And then they can access that content whenever. They can go back to the ones they really like. The people who are doing one-on-ones, of course, we get that hour connection. And then in between, they can follow up and do all kinds of things. So there's Patreon right now for some classes. And then all kinds of online training. Right now, through Yoga in My School until April 30th, like tomorrow, there's 50% off all of my online content there with the courses. And you can even earn your entire registered children's yoga teacher certification through Yoga Alliance online right now. They've given special permission to do that. And it's working really, really well. So many people have said, thank you so much. And people from distance who may not be able to come to an in-person training are taking advantage of that. Like, I've got people from the Philippines and from Australia and from all across the US and Canada joining in on those trainings, because they're seeing a wonderful opportunity to increase their learning and knowledge right now.
Yes, that's amazing. Okay, you guys, you have one day to get signed up for 50% off your kids' teacher training. And I am telling you, you will not regret it. This training is amazing. It covers all your bases with everything that you're going to need from classroom management to activities, to the poses, all of it. And Donna, how can we get our hands on your book? I mean, I have my own copy, and I'm going to take a picture of it and I'll post it here so you guys can know what it looks like. But how do other people get their hands on it?
Once Upon a Pose, probably the easiest way is through Amazon, and I hate to say that. Well, as an author, I get paid pennies when you buy through Amazon. But that is your easiest way to get it. You could buy it through Trafford Publishing, which is my publisher, and I get paid a little bit more that way. Or if you really want a copy and you're local, local Edmonton area, or, I'll mail you a copy if you want to get in touch with me, Donna@yogaandmyschool.com. You just got to pay for the shipping. I don't offer free shipping like Amazon. Sorry.
I'm sure you could also maybe, if you're near St. Albert, go and pick up from Donna's doorstep.
You sure can. You can get in touch with me and say, hey,
yeah,
do you want to do a doorstop drop off? I can do that for sure.
Yeah.
I've done that lots, actually. People are like, I need 2 more copies of your book for teacher gifts. Okay.
Oh, what a great teacher gift.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I wish I would have thought of that sooner. Anyway, yeah. That's fantastic. Is there anything else that you'd like? I mean, there is so much. I feel like we could go on at length. But is there anything else that you want to touch on?
I just want to let people know, especially right now, it's challenging right now. As an adult, you've got crap going on. Mm-hmm. And just the emotionality. And then you need to show up for your kids too. And they've got stuff going on, but they're looking to you as their frame of reference. How is mom or dad handling this? And to give yourself some slack, it's okay. To be as mindful in the moment now as you possibly can. And saying that is so much easier than doing it. And doing it with grace is so damn difficult.
Yeah.
That there are going to be highs and lows. Yesterday was a hard day for me. But it ended up being a really, really good day. But the first few hours were just brutal.
Yeah.
Right. And to move into that and to recognize and to say, it's okay. Mm-hmm. And to know that there will be the highs and the lows, and to take little opportunities, little things. Mm-hmm. My one daughter told a story, and she's now 20. And she told this story recently she remembered driving with me somewhere. And so we're driving along this road, and she says, and all of a sudden my mom turned off the radio. And I was like, Mom, I was listening to that song. And she says, and my mom turned to me and she said, but isn't this a beautiful road? We just need to pause and appreciate the drive.
Yeah.
And that meant so much to me as a mom, that I had taken the opportunity just to pause in the midst of the world, and that it had resonated with her, so that she was much younger, mm-hmm. and that it resonated with her, that she's like, so that's what life's really about.
Yeah.
Is finding those little pauses and taking this opportunity, this unique, very unique opportunity we've been given to find the pause.
Yes, I love that. I've been, I've had a few conversations recently talking about this exact thing, about allowing yourself to have the difficult days and not adding to it with shame and guilt and making it that much worse, because you're piling on these expectations to yourself that you're doing it wrong. And a mantra that I just keep coming back to is I surrender, or I release, and just, letting what is be what it is. And yeah.
Mine's been welcome the good.
Yes.
It's just welcome the good. There's a lot of crap. My one daughter's grad got canceled, and she's just devastated and angry about it. And I totally get that.
Yeah.
But if we can welcome the good.
There's so much
and to look for it, to really look
Yeah.
for it, and
Yeah.
to welcome it into our lives. And yeah,
Yeah.
it's, you know, life is never easy, right? I've never had it easy. I don't know about you,
There are always
but
challenges. You're right.
there's always challenges, and right now there's a unique set of challenges. But if we can welcome the good and make a practice of looking for that and counting our blessings and appreciating the sunshine and appreciating the rain, because we need both.
Yeah.
Yeah, being grounded, looking for inspiration, like so many things. It's like,
Yeah.
it's a really beautiful time. And then to reach out and to really be considerate of others, that your experience is only your experience and others is their experience, and to have a little bit of patience and grace through this whole thing.
Love it. All right, Donna, thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, it's a pleasure. You know how much I love you.
Oh, I love you too. Oh. I'm going to post all of Donna's information, how to get in touch with her, how to access those courses. Get on that now, because you only have a day to get it done.
Sign up. You kind of stay to sign up. You have as long as you'd like to get it done.
Oh, yeah, that's good to know. All right.
Right? You can sign up and you can start later. Right?
Perfect.
But yeah, it was all of April that I was running this promotion for 50% off, and the code is Spring Learning. It's on the website, on Yoga in My School. Go to Yoga in My School, teacher training, online learning, do it.
Perfect. And there are different levels. There's level 1, there's level 2, there's kids, and there's special needs and teens as well.
So there's the 4 workshops, and with the level 1 you get a copy of my book. So you know, that's always a bonus. If you want a copy of my book, sign up for the level 1. It's 50% off, man. It's like, it's good stuff.
Awesome. Okay, Donna, thank you again. Everybody have a beautiful Wednesday. And I am going to be posting a video Friday. I am actually going to be engaged with something else that day. So we're going to pre-record, and you're going to be learning some Spanish Friday morning with my friend Krista Mendez. And yeah, we'll see you back on Monday. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you. Have a great day.